Hi everyone, this is a MATH082 video. This is section 4.2 and we are learning how to factor by grouping. Okay, so remember the very first step when we're factoring, no matter what we're doing, is we always have to make sure the GCF is not greater than 1. So let's look over these terms. We have a 5xy minus 8x minus 10y plus 16. Is there anything that all four terms have in common? I don't see anything. So right now our GCF is 1, so now we can move on to our second step. So remember we said that if we see four terms, then we are going to attempt factoring by grouping. That's not how you spell grouping. Okay, so this one is a wee bit tricky, which is why I really wanted to do this example with you. So I'm going to rewrite it down here just so it's a little bit more spacious. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, the thing is usually I just throw down some parentheses here, and I usually throw them down right here, and I leave the sign in between. Okay, the problem is I cannot do this here. Those are exclamation points. Okay, if I do this, what this is really saying is that I have minus 10y minus 16. That's what it means if I redistributed it. But I don't have a minus 16, I have a plus 16. Okay, so this time I have to be very, very, very careful when I do this. Okay, and I have to place my parentheses in a slightly different location. So the easiest way to do it, if you're writing the problem down anyways, is to just sort of artificially insert a plus sign between these two sets of parentheses. Okay? And that way we haven't changed any signs and we haven't changed the meaning of the original problem. Okay? So anytime your middle sign is a negative, I recommend changing it to plus a negative, and then you can go ahead and place your parentheses. Okay, so be very, 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 very careful. Okay, and watch that sign when it's in the middle there. Okay, so let's do what we did in the previous video, which is to find the GCF of this pair. So to me, it looks like the GCF is x. So that means we divide both things by x. Okay, so x goes on the outside. What's left over on the inside is 5y minus 8. Okay, then we just bring down our plus sign here. Okay, and then likewise we find the GCF of these two terms over here. I could be wrong, but I think the GCF is 2 in this case. So we're going to factor out a 2. 10y divided by 2 is negative 5y. Okay, and 16 divided by 2 is positive 8. Okay, this looks a little weird. Let me fix it. Okay, now you might notice we have a wee bit of a problem here because this 5y minus 8 is sadly and unfortunately not quite the same as negative 5y plus 8. They are different. So since they're different and not the same, I cannot yet factor them out. So how can I fix that? Well, the easiest fix is to factor out a negative sign from the yellow. So if I were to factor out the negative sign, then what would that look like? Well, we'd have to make 2 negatives. So the 5y would become positive. Sorry. And then we would have a minus 8. So let's see if that works here. Just bringing down everything else. Okay. So again, I brought out this negative. Okay. So when I made this negative, that became positive. Okay. And I also had to change this sign here. because if I hadn't changed it, think about it, right? What's negative 2 times positive 8? Well, again, that's negative 16. We don't want negative 16. We want positive 16. So let's just double, triple check ourselves and make sure that this is valid here. Okay, negative 2y times 5 is negative 10y. Is that what we have in our original equation? It is, so we're good. Okay, negative 2 times negative 8 is positive 16. Is that what we have in our original equation? It is. So this is the correct form of the solution. All right, so now we need to go ahead and go back and finish this problem. So now we have achieved our goal, which is that 5y minus 8 is the same as 5y minus 8 and can therefore be pulled out or factored out from both terms. Okay, so our leftovers is x plus negative 2, or you can just write x minus 2. Okay, and that's your final answer. Okay. All right, let's do another problem. Okay, so the first thing we have to do, again, is to identify the GCF of all the terms. So is there anything that goes into x squared y and 21 and 3y and 7x squared? So right now, I don't see anything that goes into all four things. Okay, so I think that we can safely say that the GCF is equal to 1. Okay, and there are 4 terms, as you can see, so we're going to factor by grouping. So right now, we have x squared y plus 21 plus 3y plus 7x squared. So our natural inclination, just out of sheer convenience, is to group the first 2 together and then group the second 2 together. Okay? But the problem here is the GCF of these 2 terms is 1. So there's really nothing to factor out. And we have the same problem over here. The GCF is also 1. Okay? So I like to make the metaphor that this is like speed dating. Okay? So if you meet and you talk to someone for 5 minutes and you find out that you have nothing in common, your greatest common factor is that you're both human beings on this planet, and that's it. Okay, then what do? Well, hopefully in 5 or 10 minutes the bell rings, and then you switch partners, and you get to meet someone else, and you find out what you have in common with them. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, if you want to be formal about that, this is the commutative property of addition, which literally says that we can move things around or they can commute. Okay, so instead of grouping our x squared y with the 21, we're going to match him up with this plus 3y. We'll bump those 2 together and see if those 2 have anything in common. Okay, and then we'll move the 21 over here and put that guy with 7x squared and see if those 2 have anything in common. Okay, so this is our new grouping. So looking at this, it looks to me like now my GCF is y. Okay, so that's good. I can factor out the y. Dividing both things by y gives me x squared plus 3. Okay, over here, now my GCF isn't 1 anymore. My GCF is 7. Okay, so that leaves us 3 plus x squared. Okay, so now we're finally getting somewhere. So if you look at x squared plus 3 and 3 plus x squared, okay, once again, you can use the commutative property and rewrite those. 3 plus x squared is the same as x squared plus 3. So I'll just take 1 second and rewrite this so that you can see it. Okay, so from there, then I can factor out the x squared plus 3, and the leftovers are x plus 7. Okay, and that's our answer. So stay tuned for more videos.